the North Dade Thunderbirds getting off the bus coming from North Miami Senior High. Getting ready to do another phase of the interview with someone from the class of 1964. Hey, baby Thunderbird. I'm getting history on North Dade.
Oh, our school is national.
You see North Dade on there?
Yes, it's right there. North Dade Thunderbirds.
What is that banner about?
Our school is
Look at that banner and tell me, what is that banner about? What you notice? Black high schools in Dade County.
Black high school?
What does that mean? What does that mean?
What does what mean?
6 original black high schools.
Because this was one of the first ones. I guess this is the one that had
one of the
one of the 6 high schools, original high schools.
This is a historical interview.
Yes.
You may want to listen to this interview. Okay. All right, our third phase of the interview here at the historic North Dade Junior-Senior High School will be with our next Thunderbird. And ma'am, could you state your name and your hometown, and who is that gentleman standing next to you?
My name is Maria Bell Reckley, and my home is Miami Gardens. And this is my husband, Lionel Reckley, from the class of 61.
And you're the class of?
And I'm from the class of 64, from North Dade Senior High School.
Okay. Now, at this time, could you tell me where is your birthplace?
My birthplace is Bunche, Georgia.
Okay. When you ended up down here, how old were you when you came to Miami?
When I came to Miami, I was in kindergarten, at Mumford's Kindergarten, which used to be at Greater New Bethel Baptist Church. It was on 151st Street. So I came here in 1952.
Okay. Now, tell me, before we get to the North Dade Junior High School, North Dade Junior-Senior High School experience, run through the schools you attended leading up to North Dade Junior-Senior High, after Mumford's Kindergarten.
From Mumford's Kindergarten, I went to Bunche Park Elementary, and from Bunche Park Elementary, I attended Rainbow Park Elementary, and from Rainbow Park, we came to North Dade. Then it was Junior-Senior High School. I came in 1957.
Okay, at that time when you came over to this particular school, do you remember what was the students' mindset? What was their outlook? What was their approach to this particular historic institution from your understanding?
From my understanding, coming here was a lot of excitement. It was a new school, brand new school, with the new principal that came formerly from Booker T. Washington, where he had taught there for a number of years. And he came to the school and brought a number of young teachers, recent graduates, a few teachers that worked with him from Booker T, Mr. Thompson, Mr. Strapp, and it was a staff that was considered, the whole school was considered the school of distinction.
What was the name of that principal?
Mr. Charles D. White.
Back then, did you have assistant principals, or what name did they go by?
We had assistant principals, but they were more considered counselors. We had Mr. Bannerman, Miss Juanita Hamberry, Coach Anderson. He wore several hats. He was one of the coaches for sports as well as the counselor.
Back then, there was discipline coming from the home. Were there any Anglo students at this school? Do you remember?
No, it's a totally segregated high school.
What do you mean by segregated?
Meaning only for blacks.
Okay, now, with that in mind, there was discipline, from my understanding, in those years coming all the way through. Tell me this, did anyone get, what was the form of discipline back then for misbehavior?
If you misbehaved, you had Mr. Bannerman's paddle on your behind.
You remember how the paddle was made?
It was made like a Greek fraternity paddle, where you, if you went to college, you know, they had the paddles during the pledge, they would paddle you. Well, Mr. Bannerman had that kind of a paddle, and it was permissible, and you didn't have a whole lot of disciplinary issues.
So only male students were paddled in those days?
No, the women students too. But he didn't do it. I'm sure Miss Hamberry did it. I never got to get one, so I didn't have that personal experience.
Okay.
And I also knew that they would call your parents, so by the time you got home, your parents already knew what had happened that day. And we grew up in the community with our teachers. Mr. Ginyard lived a few blocks from me. So, you know, you would see. You know.
From my understanding, the teachers at that time, it's a known fact at these 6 historical black schools, one being North Dade, was preparing you guys, teaching you on the level of college and university, English, language, mathematics.
Yes.
Could you state, was that the case?
Yes, it was. And for example, I had what was considered a college preparatory class for writing, and my teacher was Miss Wallace Ham. She taught Spanish as well as the English class. We taught you how to write research papers, thesis, all of this. You knew how to do your footnotes. You knew all of that. So by the time you got to college, you were already ready to write your papers. That was not an issue.
And you stated that she knew Spanish?
Yes, she taught Spanish.
Okay, now as we come to the close of this segment of the interview, as you move through North Dade, do you remember the students in terms of some of the accomplishments that you recall? What was the pride like? Any contact with the other 6 original black high schools?
Yes, we had involvement in sports. We had drama activities, thespian activities together. North Dade rated very highly within the state of Florida for the thespian activities with Mr. James Randolph. And right now, as a result of that, one of the graduates, John Pryor, and Patricia Essex Williams now operate the M Ensemble Theater in North Miami Beach. We also had, as I said, sports issue, and one of our coaches, Mr. Oliver, Percy Oliver, was coming to North Dade from playing professional football. So we had a coach that had that kind of insight on how, and North Dade itself won all-city team one year.
What was the school colors and the actual name of the mascot?
The school color was royal blue and white, and we were the mighty Thunderbirds.
Okay, at this time we're going to conclude this part of the interview, and we appreciate the time for being here at the historic North Dade Middle School, the former North Dade Junior-Senior High School.
Home of the mighty Thunderbirds. The history of North Dade, because I wrote.
You guys came out here? You came out here?
No, I wrote up something for Mr. Crawford to read for the Black History section.
Okay, thanks.
So do you remember hearing any of that?
Mrs. Harvard is with some of the grads. He's a former Thunderbird, Miami Garden City Commissioner. Some of the other Thunderbirds, baby Thunderbirds hanging in front of the building. And then we'll get the flag. As you can see, the flag. Now we'll see if we can get the sign. North Dade Middle School. And as you can see on the marquee, it says success has no limits. Let's see what's on the other side. Coming over? Okay. And as you can see, some of the baby Thunderbirds are still around, congregating with the security. Coming down, coming down, coming down, coming down, coming down, coming down. There you have it, right there.